Welcome to Analytical Autumn Part 2, which is our installment on presentation techniques. Last month, we covered budgeting in a very similar format. First, talking about basics, then tools, and then goals, and finally a recap. Today's video is episode 1, which covers basics, meaning a foundation to build public speaking skills. Episode 2 will be published next week, covering technical tools and tips. Episode 3 will cover presentation techniques from a standpoint. Episode 3 will cover presentation techniques goals. This year, October allows us an additional week, and hence Episode 4 this month will be an extra, where I will share my personal experience with different public speaking scenarios. And finally, the last week of October will offer a recap of this journey. Join us this month on this interesting topic. When we refer to basic techniques to become a skilled public speaker, I'm referring to a formal presentation, as opposed to an impromptu, quick speech. However, these formal techniques may also be extracted or extrapolated for use in a different public speaking scenario. When referring to presentations, these could be anything ranging from a large audience covering a technical or academic lecture to a lighthearted smaller group, for coaching for instance, or anywhere in between. The most critical aspect is to adapt your delivery to the applicable format while delivering your key message. Whether long or short, your message needs to be clearly communicated. As long as you have a valid message that the audience is interested to hear about or learn from, you would have a solid starting point. Delivery of your message is critical to ensure it sticks with your listeners. Hence, delivery in a storytelling format will ensure your audience is on board and on your same wavelength. This segues us into your audience. Know your audience, learn about them prior to beginning, and adapt as needed. Without understanding who your audience truly is, it would be difficult to deliver your message clearly. Utilize your toolkit to your advantage, and this includes audio visuals, preparation with material, even things like props, or using the room to your favor, such as engaging the audience, even in some cases, inviting volunteers may be appropriate for certain portions of your presentation, all the while sticking to your personal presenting style and personal brand. Storytelling is all about delivering a story from beginning to end. You need to be able to hook the audience from the start. And of course, ending your story is very important to keep the audience engaged. The middle part of your story needs to have a similar arc to a storybook, for instance. You need to present a problem to your audience that is relevant to them, and a solution through that story. Let's say I'm delivering a presentation on apples. Let's say the topic focus is a variety of recipes using apples. Perhaps the tidbit could be about the way in which I was experimenting with different recipes to appease my toddler son. Maybe we talk about baking apple pie, incorporating it into savory foods, pancakes, and so on and so forth. And thereby, I'd be presenting a solution to a problem that the audience is interested in. Throughout the story, I'd explain the conflict that I've had in incorporating apples into different varieties of foods for my son to eat, and eventually finding the best recipes that he would be interested in. Hence, the solution to our conflict. In this format of storytelling, the topic of conversation would be delivered and stick in people's minds much better than if I were presenting a random list of recipes that apples could be incorporated into and the nutritional value they offer. If I simply talk about the nutritional value of apples, the different types of cultivars that exist, it may seem a bit dry and frankly boring. However, if I link that to a story of how I chop up the apples for my son to eat, the way in which he eats them, a funny tidbit on the method that he uses when eating them, this may allow the message that's being delivered to stick in your mind. Because your story is linked to a human feature, it may involve humor and presents a solution to a problem. Of course, topics that may be presented are much more complex, so be sure to add that human element when delivering a story to a technical or complex topic that's being presented. More details will be covered on this particular framework in the coming weeks, so I do invite you to stick with us this month on this most important skill for young professionals. Happy presenting!